Welcome back to another episode of the Bryan Air Podcast. On today's show, severe flooding in Dubai, passenger traffic data for 2023, logistics issues with tensions in the Middle East, gold bars seized in Toronto, Lufthansa's new Alegris cabin, Honeywell AI tech, and Bryan Air named one of the top aviation podcasts to listen to in 2024 by Airways magazine. Hi, pal.
Hey, guys.
Some lekker news there at the end there.
That was a nice surprise to check this morning. Very chuffed of that little achievement.
Yeah, to say the least, eh?
Yeah.
It's nice to get the recognition. It's not about the recognition, but it helps every now and again.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Like I say, it keeps us pushing on.
It does. It's been chaos in Dubai.
Madness. It's absolute madness.
It's just, if you don't know what we're talking about and you've been living under a rock or something, go and check it out. Dubai airport facing severe flooding, record high rainfall, flight disruptions, cancellations, passengers told to just avoid the airport altogether. Operations obviously significantly impacted with all the airlines there. And weather forecast, obviously, they predicted ongoing challenges with travel in the region for a while. So, it's interesting. When it comes to things like this, you wonder, a place like Dubai, how sort of equipped are they to deal with chaos? It was pretty nuts.
Yeah, it was bonkers.
There's a what's it, a max going through what looks like a river. I mean, it's nuts. Check this one.
737 Max actually makes a fairly decent jet ski.
It probably has got a longer career as a fucking boat than it does in aircraft. But yes. How mad? Just crazy.
You know, I saw some posts earlier that morning where actually like, hey, check out the rain in Dubai. You know, it was like a bit of a novelty, which I would imagine it would be because you don't get much rain in Dubai. And by that evening, it just turned into carnage. It was amazing how fast that happened. Eh?
Yeah, there was a cool video yesterday. Not really aviation related. What's that Nissan that's like that crazy? It's like the Land Cruiser, but it's that beast of a Nissan. Jeez, I forget the name. The one that chows all the fuel. Anyway,
Nissan Patrol. Yeah.
Nissan Patrol. There was an oak in a Nissan Patrol. Just, I promise you, it must have been like a meter deep of water. All the other cars were sort of stuck. This oak was bombing through. I thought that is the best advert because it was right through like what looked like the middle of Dubai. Yeah. And this oak was just going, and there were these Rolls Royces on the side of the road. Chaos. There
was Nissan Patrols, like, waist deep in water, and then there were cabin crew as well.
Yeah. and then there were opportunists that actually reminded me of like us that had trolleys and that were taking cash to move people across in the trolley. I thought quite a novel little business opportunity, but nuts. And you wonder, things like that happen in Africa, and sometimes we deal with so much chaos here that you wonder if we don't handle things like that maybe better than what they do in these countries that, when something goes wrong, there's like mass panic.
Yeah, because in first world countries, that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to be immune from natural disasters.
Exactly.
Yes, that storm was insane. I mean, there was footage of those high-rise buildings where furniture was being blown off, like, I don't know how many stories high.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Pretty wild. What's that due to?
So, apparently, there was one news article that said that they had been overdoing it on the cloud seeding. So chucking, they're seeding clouds to try and get rain. So maybe they got what they asked for.
What's that one? Fiddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, but I hope no one was badly hurt or killed or I suppose. Geez, it's,
spoke to a couple of mates of mine that are up in that part of the world, and there's a few of them that have been inconvenienced by their houses are flooded, so they're trying to sort life out.
I noticed, and I don't know how legit this is, but just looking at it on social media, it seems to be the two major airlines there, Emirates and Fly Dubai, handled the situation very differently when it came to their own employees.
Yeah, I believe so. It was...
I don't know how much of that is actually true or how much is sort of, blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
The story sort of goes and what we're picking up here on this side. And it's hard on social media because you've got these like echo chambers. So the minute you see one, it kind of feeds you the next one. But it was very much about Fly Dubai's stance of stay home, stay safe, and Emirates cabin crew swimming through a river in their uniform
to come and get the job done.
Yeah. Anyway. International travel in 2023. Of course, it saw a big surge, and there were some rankings that came out. What was on the list this year that wasn't the previous, Dubai International climbed up to second place. Tokyo Haneda saw 55% increase in passenger traffic. And then it goes on to say, despite the growth, passenger numbers still remain below pre-pandemic levels there. Obviously, the main airports still dominated in the States. Atlanta was number one. And Dallas, Fort Worth, Denver also showed strong growth. Interestingly enough, on the cargo side of things, Hong Kong International Airport remains the world's busiest cargo airport. And again, below pre-pandemic levels, it saw a 3.3% increase in cargo volume to 4.3 million tons. So, any prediction that was made that Hong Kong was going to become more irrelevant in terms of cargo.
Yeah, that's kind of been dispelled now.
Not really the case. But interesting to see that it's crazy. Eh? So the second most busy airport in the world was the one that was disrupted, and how many people that actually affects.
Yeah.
It's a hub and spoke airport, so there's people coming in from all over the place, and you're stuffed, man.
Yeah, no, it's the knock-on effect is just wild, man.
Feels like ages ago since we did a pod. It was only a week ago. And there was... When did the drone attack happen going on in Israel there in the Middle East?
I think it was over the weekend.
It happened just after the pod.
Yeah, just after the pod, yeah.
And obviously, it's another thing there that's thrown a spanner in the work in terms of logistics for airlines. It's not so straightforward.
No.
The operational teams have to react pretty quickly and come up with some, safe solutions to get to your destination.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of scrambling going on at the moment, I think, with all the major airlines. We're having to try and reroute their flights to find safe routes that are going to skirt the conflict zones. But then while you're diverting around these conflict zones, you've got to watch out for the GPS spoofing areas as well.
It's crazy.
And yes, it must be just creating absolute chaos for the different departments. I mean, fuel planning, logistics, like you say, just must be crap.
It was crap. In fact, I got a lot of gen after our GPS spoofing chat last week, and I thought it would be one that we could literally just jump into and talk about. It's actually a much bigger subject than I thought. So I got some nice gen from a few of the operators around the world, or guys that are flying for some of the operators, and they've all got sort of proper procedures in place, which is why it's, I suppose, relatively safe. But there's quite a few safety protocols in place already with this. And obviously it's just going to, I just assume this is going to keep getting worse and worse. So it's going to become a stock standard way of operating. I was helping someone in the simulator this morning with some RNAV approaches, and like you wonder, do you involve this in the training now?
But you have to.
You have to.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is just crazy, like how our advancement in technology is actually being used against us
Yeah.
in a lot of ways as well.
I suppose it's inevitable when there is technology. It's
It makes you more vulnerable in a lot of ways.
it does. Yeah, Qantas were affected by it. They had to divert their Perth-London flights to avoid the Middle East. That flights now stopping in Singapore for refueling. Obviously, it affects Qantas the most, I suppose. They're in Air New Zealand. Return flight from London to Perth remains direct. Okay, so London-Perth is direct, but Sydney has got a stopover in Singapore.
Yeah.
Jeez. This was an interesting one. You think it only happens in Africa. It doesn't. Police suspect Air Canada employees in the theft of gold bars worth millions from Toronto's airport. 2 employees are amongst the suspects, with 1 arrested and facing charges. The stolen gold has not been fully recovered, and police believe it was melted down for resale. Remember that was going on here in Benoni. Claim back the VAT. Remember, it was on carte blanche. Remember that, Oak? One of the main guys that was doing it, I forget the guy's name. I think he's long gone from South Africa now. But he was cruising around in a Bell chopper.
Yeah.
They were getting gold from, these smelting places and melting the gold, claiming the VAT back. Major business. Pretty sure it's still going on. But remember, he ended up telling everyone, no, you won the lotto.
Yeah.
Remember that story? And I figured I didn't win the lotto.
Jeez.
But quite a...
Might find it's actually a bunch of South Africans that are in Canada that got busted.
The article that I found was... let's have a look here. Daily Maverick. So these guys, Daily Maverick, let's have a chat about them. I think it was a Maverick in general. I know there's the business Maverick as well. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, they actually didn't publish anything at all. They said, I think it was over 2 days or something. I might be wrong. And they said something to the extent of, we aren't publish anything today to try and bring home the importance or the point of good professional journalism and to show people how dangerous it is if there aren't people that giving proper journalistic views on things.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure it had the effect that they were looking for, because there's just so much available. People just maybe got some other news from somewhere else. But it was interesting nonetheless, because I'm trying to find this article now, see if it pops up. There was an article, I think Duncan posted it on Fly Africa, IOL.co.za, I think it was. It was something to do about it was the most poorly written article you've ever seen in your life. It was absolutely horrendous. And
there's a lot of that goes on.
Okay, so it is here. SA's hold on Sky's high fees stifle commercial aviation. So, Ryan, check it out. Aviation industry players have warned that the transatlantic routes that the South African government is allegedly holding for South African Airways from interested bilateral partners have resulted in the sector's slow growth. Industry sources yesterday said the gap left by SAA since it went into business rescue in 2019 and the subsequent under-recovery post-COVID were a direct reflection on the national carrier's capacity to sufficiently service international routes. SAA is flying to all routes, including in London. That's what it says. SAA is flying to all routes, including in London, Frankfurt, Munich, Zurich, Hong Kong, Sao Paulo, Mauritius, and Washington, D.C., amongst others, except for Perth and a few others. Can I read that again? This is a flipping relatively major. SAA is flying to all routes, including in London, Frankfurt, Munich, Zurich, Hong Kong, Sao Paulo, Mauritius, and Washington, D.C., amongst others, except for Perth and a few others. These routes are underserved, and the government is allegedly reluctant to amend bilateral agreements it has with these countries, which which want to increase frequencies. An aviation insider yesterday said that the government was asked to amend the bilateral agreements at the last International Commission for Air Navigation meeting in Saudi Arabia in December last year. And they said no, because they are holding the routes for SAA. You get my point?
What a crock of shit.
So, yeah, you do need players. You do need, I suppose, decent journalism.
Yeah.
And at least report it correctly, because there's so much rubbish out there. But let's get back to proper aviation stuff. Lufthansa welcomes a new Airbus A350 with the Alegris cabin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Marking the start of a 2.5 billion euro investment for cabin upgrades. The flight used 17% sustainable aviation fuel and introduced new products in all classes, including the first class cabin, which has got enhanced privacy. The cabin will be featured on various Lufthansa aircraft, offering revamped seating options like the Recaro CL3810 in economy class. Obviously, it's a full revamp. We're seeing it as well. Next story here, American introducing new business class seats on their 787-9 Dreamliners. Extra space, added features, bulkhead seats have more footroom, blah, blah, blah. There is a bit of a push, I suppose, from the airlines to, these days it's all about, you can't get left behind.
Yeah.
If Lufthansa's got a USB-C option.
You better get a USB-C
as well. But it's like a thing, No one, remember the headsets, and I mean, even my last Air France flight, your Apple AirPods now just connect to the in-flight entertainment.
Was that even in economy as well? So is it like...
I'm not sure in economy. Yeah. I think so. I think so. And it was, because those headsets aren't those sort of two-prong
serious
things anymore. Yeah. So
interesting.
You got to stay up with the times.
Is it an amazing push to get business class and first class passengers lacquer comfortable? Like, why aren't they upgrading the economy class?
They don't care about it. Business class is so expensive, bro.
Yeah, I think that's what pays for the bulk of the flight. It must be.
I mean, premium economy now is pretty much business from 10 years ago in terms of the price, and the difference between economy and premium is pretty high.
Yeah.
And then premium to business is a major, major jump.
It's crazy.
I mean, a premium economy for two people on Air France from Joburg to Paris and back, May, June, is going to cost you 95 grand.
Yes.
For two people.
Yeah, that's
steep.
It's pretty steep, bro.
It's expensive. I know it's the Olympics and there's a lot going on in Paris, but it's hellish expensive.
When is the Olympics? That starts in June, eh?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not an Olympic fan.
until Jiu-Jitsu becomes an Olympic sport, then I'm playing them.
Yeah. Then they got judo at the Olympics, but not Jiu-Jitsu. Some more news on our continuous story of what are we following? What are these things called? eVTOL. There's another crowd. Eve Air Mobility have merged with AirX Inc. They've signed a letter of intent for up to 50 eVTOLs. And this is in Japan now, you see. So all over the world, China.
It's starting to appear to me that like these eVTOLs are becoming a lot like Chinese cell phones. You get an Apple iPhone, Samsung comes out with a matching sort of product, and then next minute there's Huawei and Xiaomi and this and that, all with their very similar products, but like there's 50 Chinese variants to one, and these eVTOLs are going to be
but then which one is the Apple and which one is the Samsung? That's what you don't know.
Yeah, do you really want to get into the...
I think I still put my money on Joby being the...
So they've been around the longest.
Oh, I don't know. Let's not act as though we know what we're talking about with these.
Yeah. Let's just get back to doing it.
Because we actually don't. I don't think anyone knows. Honeywell has launched some AI software to help aerospace facilities improve ops and lower costs through digitization. There's nothing new there. The platform combines predictive maintenance, site optimization, and workforce intelligence. It aims to address challenges in aerospace manufacturing and MRO operations. Why I found this one interesting, there was a big event in France the other day, a big sort of tech event, and one of the things that popped up was quite interesting. It basically something they use in factories. It's this device that you have, around various points in your factory, and through sound and vibration and all this stuff, it can pick up where in the factory you're going to receive higher stress on certain components.
Jeez.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
And you wonder, obviously, aviation on the engine side of things. I mean, I know Rolls-Royce are doing that already. I'm sure they're all doing that already. But I suppose you've got the predictive side, but if you throw AI into it, quite interesting the results that you might pick up. And I think maybe that's the first sort of foray of AI into the aviation space. You're not going to see AI flying an airplane just yet. You're not going to see AI serving champagne just yet, but certainly on the maintenance side, it's going to be playing a role.
That makes sense. And, judging by...
Boeing just wish they had this tech.
Took the words out of my mouth.
You're right. Yeah. Ryan and I have this thing. If ChatGPT or Google Gemini can do it for you, then you do it. It's almost like that's what the Boeing engineers were trying to do.
Shit.
Build me a plane that carries 200 plus passengers. Yeah. Oh. Speaking of Boeing, I was under the impression last week, we spoke about the whistleblower. I thought there was just one dude that was...
Turns out there's a whole band.
So there's a Boeing whistleblower. He's an ex-engineer, wants all Boeing 787 aircraft grounded due to potential safety issues with assembly gaps. The engineer believes there's a risk of structural problems that could lead to premature failure. Boeing and the FAA have addressed the concerns and assert the aircraft's safety. So yeah, there's more than one.
Jeez.
Not good.
Not at all.
But the story of the week, old Ryan and Bryan made it into a magazine. Pretty cool. Let's get it up here.
Top aviation podcast to follow in 2024.
Yeah, pretty legit. And it's Airways Mag. Pretty chuffed about it. There's all the usual guys, including Avia Dev, John Howell there, fully deserved. John's been doing this for ages. And have you noticed our podcast and John's actually complement pretty nicely, because they're quite different in terms of John's like the ultra professional guy, or same like me. You're the sort of chaotic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Have talk in there, finer points, and there you go. Not a picture of me and Ryan, but that's it there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Broadcasting live from Johannesburg, South Africa, co-hosts Bryan Air and Ryan Perrock deliver traditional aviation flight deck banter alongside the most prevalent news stories affecting the global airlines and related travel sectors. Both hosts have an extensive knowledge and practical experience in aviation industry. The podcast is a testament to that. Listeners will enjoy learning helpful productivity tips for pilots and hearing all the latest insights from the industry. Cool, eh?
I just forgot to mention the sound financial advice.
Left that out.
Actually very cool. It's quite lucky to get a mention like that in a magazine.
It is. And I've got a lot of comments from people. I posted it on social media this morning.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have actually, given me a shout. So, yeah, thanks for that. Really, really appreciate it. And I do actually have another pilot productivity tip for today.
Okay.
You might have tried it. I don't know how long this update came out, but I sort of once a week try and do a software updates on my phone, or at least update all the apps. And WhatsApp's got quite a cool thing now. I don't know if you saw the Meta sort of AI thing built into it now.
I noticed that some of the features had changed, but I hadn't actually played with it enough yet to see that's...
Well, it's kind of cool because AI is a big thing, and of course you got ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and these things are all they're all awesome. I mean, if you've got something to ask it, you can ask, and instead of people say, why don't you just Google it? It's because when you Google something, you get 3,000 email sort of internet sort of URLs there, and you choose the one that's on top of the list, whereas you actually want the answer to a specific question.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with GPT and Gemini is they're web-based, so you've got to go into the browser. You've then got to find the bookmark, go into it, then ask the question. Well, the Meta one, the one on your WhatsApp, it's like me chatting to you on WhatsApp. It's there as a contact.
That's flipping cool.
Yeah, so you can ask it a question there and then. When is the next UFC fight?
Yeah.
And then it gives you the answer there and then. So you've got this...
You got like
in WhatsApp, you've got this AI tool that you can just ask a question. And it knows everything. It's like the complete opposite of when I ask you something.
No, 100%. Yeah, thinking about that, I was going to chat about it as well. I was like, so we've become more involved in this whole like corporate vibe at work.
Yeah,
and with that, KPIs have been,
banded about there.
Yeah, a lot more. So KPI, and I was like, how the hell does a pilot get his mind around KPIs?
Yeah,
I mean, most pilots don't know what KPIs are.
Yeah,
because it's just not within
your. Don't use it.
It's not necessary in your field of work. And I realized the other day that there actually is a very similar way in which pilots get KPI'd.
Yeah,
KPI being key performance indicator for those that don't know, and for me that's just learned. But it's a system of where you get sort of judged on your progress
in a measurable way.
In a measurable way.
Yeah.
But sort of over a period of time. Mm-hmm. So I've come to realize it's actually exactly the same for pilots. Because it doesn't matter how well you fly an airplane from A to B and what sort of weather you have to negotiate your way through and spoof your way around GPS hacked areas and all this kind of stuff and deal with malfunctions and all this kind of stuff. You will always get judged on your landing.
True.
A passenger will always judge the pilots on their landing. Hey?
You can have the worst flight.
Yeah.
You can forget to brief at top of D, forget checklists, forget a million things. If your landing is good,
you are the best pilot in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But moor that airplane down into the ground.
Yeah.
And then you are a cuck pilot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cuck pilot index.
So that is that it?
Yeah. So I just thought like
so no KPIs. Cuck. Yeah.
There's a cuck pilot index.
Good call. It's true. It's true. I think that pisses a lot of pilots. So it did with me.
Yeah.
Because you could have this flight where it was you just were on the money with everything, and then the landing at the end maybe wasn't as nice as what you wanted.
Yeah.
True story.
Funny. Yeah.
Good call. Listener comment of the week. Like I said, it was all about the GPS spoofing. The subject is too big to talk about here alone. It's actually something all on its own.
Yeah.
And I've asked a couple of people to send me a bit more gen, and we're trying to put something together because, I think even ourselves, I mean, flying a long time, but not necessarily, we're not in an airline at the moment, and you're kind of left out of the operational, how the guys dealing with this.
Exactly.
And it's quite major. So I think a few people are interested on that side of things.
Yeah, especially as it's becoming more and more prevalent and affecting larger amounts of airspace at the moment.
Yeah, it's not
it used to be like concentrated into one area and it was like a here and there thing, but now it's becoming...
It's all over.
Yeah, quite a thing.
Today's episode sponsored by FlightLine. FlightLine Logbook is an easy-to-use, affordable electronic logbook available to iOS and Android users with an unprecedented 3-month free trial. Users get an extra month free after setting up their account if they email support@flightline.co.za, and they just let these guys know that, hey, you heard about them through the Bryan Air podcast. So well worth it. I'll leave all those details in the show notes. As always, Ryan and I are going to carry on this conversation on Patreon. It's quite cool, actually. If you are interested in becoming a patron, it's pretty easy to do. Link at the top of the notes. And you don't have to take out the expensive option to get this little extra bit at the end. But it's kind of given Ryan and I a bit of a new lease on the pod a little bit, because it's a closed. We can say what we fucking really want to say.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool. So if you do want to become a Patreon supporter, click that link, and then you get the added benefit of an extra little bit of the pod right at the end. But I hope you all have a lovely weekend ahead. Ryan and I will be back next week, of course. And thank you for your support. Thank you for those that's voted us in on that Airways Mag top podcast of 24 list.
Yeah, 100%.
Cheers, pal.
Catch you later.